Sorry, what was it? 150?
153.
153, everyone. Hello and welcome to episode 153 of the Boot Nerds podcast. JayMike, how have you been?
I'm good, my man. I mean, hair's still gone. I'm still getting older. United are still up and down, but otherwise, I guess. I mean, this I'm getting used to. So yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you?
Really starting on a positive note, huh?
Well, you just turned 30. Congrats, by the way. And you get ready. It's like quickly going down from here.
I'm feeling it. But over here, just testing new boots, picking things up, putting them down.
It's a great time of year, huh?
Doing all the things that I normally do, enjoying life.
Well, you can't complain then. I was just going to say you're the type of guy who, you're going to turn into an amazing silver fox, still lush, thick hair, nice shade of silver. And meanwhile, I'm over here with just, crap beard, crap hair. It is what it is.
I think I have I lucked out in the hair genetics department. I don't think I will lose too much of it for a little while longer.
You clearly won both the hair and the, swollenness lottery compared to me. But
no, that's just lifting a lot of things and eating a bunch of food. That's pretty much all that is.
Well, fair enough. Can't be bothered. So fair enough. That sounds like a lot of work. But anyways, Josh, like I said, great time of year. Our boots are dropping thick and fast. We've talked about some stuff. We've talked about GXs. We've talked about the futures. We've talked about the Copper Pures. But we are also here to talk about arguably one of the most exciting drops of the year already. Obviously, the Predator accuracy. Mm-hmm. Which, if you've probably already seen both of our videos on YouTube, and it's fair to say we both like them a lot. We're also here to talk about something I had actually hoped would have stayed off your radar until this video, just to get the true pure reaction, and finally a little bit of a new thing from Nike as well. Mm-hmm. So where do you want to start? X or Pred?
So let's start Pred, because I think it's such a positive step for Adidas. Because I was so disappointed with Edge, and I really I remember when we first saw pros training in Edge, and I thought, wow, that's cool. It was the first step kind of back into where I thought the Predator should be. It was just unfortunate at how bad that upper felt.
It was a crap upper, yeah. It just goes to show that, you can have all the innovation, all the looks, because I thought it looked cool and aggressive and all that stuff. Had the silhouette been better, awesome, right? That Edge 94 boot, it looks great and feels great too. It just goes to show that if you don't nail that upper, it's, fit is king. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it felt bad.
Yes, how we're going.
So they could only really improve from the Edge. I was going to be very surprised if they made something that was equally as bad or worse. That would have been difficult to do. But I think what they introduced in the accuracy is not only just a step in the right direction in terms of making a more a better football boot. I think we talk about new boots coming out and being different than what we had before. This is probably the first, dare I say, power boot that we've had release in quite some time. This is since Predator came back in 2018, this has the most Predator-like feel of anything, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I was just about to break in and say that, because it feels like both, obviously from a visual point of view, I think they've absolutely nailed it. I mean, okay,
other than the fact that the
pink instead of red. Yeah, I was about to say that as well. But there's that. But I still think it looks good, and it has all the right vibes. That DNA of the accelerator with the waves here, and the Adidas equipment logo on the back, and I think it just looks right, and it looks super cool. But also from a performance fit point of view, it just works, and it might not be as radical as let's say the Mutator or the Freaks, or even the Edges, which were in terms of grip super radical. I mean, really fun to strike the ball with if you could ignore the fact that they felt like crap on your feet. But I think that these just strikes a balance. They keep it relatively safe, but they just use so many elements that work and come together to form like much more than the part of its sum. Some of its parts.
Yeah.
Damn. That was so bad that I actually dropped the boots. But let me take the laceless instead. Some of its parts. Part of its sum.
Some of its parts is good.
Some of its...
You're doing great.
But anyway, you know what I mean. Wow. But it's funny that they've gone back. They've reverted to stuff that works. Like Hybrid Touch has been around since 2014. And this way of doing the Predator elements with the SL rubber as little like just islands all around, these little elements, scales almost, right? I mean, we saw it on the Mutator, we saw it on the Freak. These are just a little bit less outrageous. And I think that combined with just a super soft upper, doesn't overstretch, has all the nice capabilities of that comfort that leather offers you, right? It's hard to screw up. And they haven't. They truly haven't.
Yeah, it's definitely a more simple take on what the Predator series has been. I guess Predator 18 and 19 were pretty simple, but it's also debatable that those weren't even Predators.
Yeah.
Just based on not having any extra grip or any rubber elements. That's just like, it's not a Predator at that point.
Ace with a Predator name, right? Let's
exactly, right? But I think even if we go all the way back to LZ1, which was 2012, 2013, 2012, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, that was for the Euros. Yeah, 12.
That was when the Predator took like a very different direction in terms of what the base concept was. But it went introducing Hybrid Touch and obviously the all-over rubber elements, which I guess, again, accelerator design, you did have more rubber on accelerator. You had more rubber on precision. It wasn't just in the striking area of the foot. But I think the all-over grip concept, as good as it could be with the proper upper and a great fit, I think what I really recognized when I got to try out the new accuracy is how much more focused the design ends up feeling when they just put grip in the areas where you realistically would want it. Because having grip on the outside of the foot, as nice as that can be and as much of a sense of control that can provide, there's also that period with like almost all of the latest all over rubber Predators where you kind of have to get used to it. Like tripping on the ball in an Edge, a Freak, or an Instinct, not an Instinct, Edge, Freak, or Mutator was pretty common. Like if you're somebody that pushes the ball with the outside of your foot when you dribble, having that extra grip there was almost a bit of a nuisance. And I think having this focused in and around the striking element, particularly on the laceless model, because what I love about this laceless boot in particular is that it's one of very few that Adidas have put out where they actually took advantage of the extra laceless surface area, where so many laceless boots are just, they take a boot with laces, they remove the laces, and they call it a day. This actually benefits from not having laces in terms of having that extra grip higher up your foot, which is super noticeable when you take a shot.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the whole whatever grip print or whatever they call it, this like tactile texture on the outside is enough for me. You know, there's a little bit of, you definitely notice, wow, English today is difficult. You notice that extra sense of texture on the ball, but it doesn't make a big thing out of itself. Like it's just there. It just goes about its business, right? And I think you're right. And to me, simplicity is key here. They've, as you say, they've kept it to the areas where you need it. And even on the 0.1s, I mean, that's enough for me. I just want grip in this area and where I make passes, basically. So I think it's like keeping it simple, going back to what players want instead of what the innovation story tells them that they should put on the boot. So I think it's definitely the right direction. Can you fix things on the accuracy? Absolutely. I still think it's a tad wide. And especially on the 0.1 low, tell me if you agree or not, but for me at least, the heel was too loose and I have too much dead space in the midfoot. But, you know, and you know, there's the tool. I like the tooling, but this is just a joke.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness to them, it's a 2-year cycle typically for the tooling, and they're not making a big... It's not the same huge deal in the press release like they did with the Edge. It's kind of just a part of the tooling at this point, which,
and it's just
again, silly piece of innovation, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't, as long as they don't push it as this super highly innovative thing or special feature, I don't mind it. It's just, I'm still mad at it from the edge. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of the edge, which is a bit of a shame. But otherwise, the tooling's actually fine. I enjoy it. It's got a lot of bite and all that stuff. So yeah, I think this is arguably the most enjoyable Predator we've had since the rebranding. Arguably one of the most enjoyable Preds since at least the LZs. I also like these a lot more than the Instincts. And for me, it just brings back that general wearability and playability that a Pred should have. It's not bulky, it's not chunky, but still it's got that sense of oomph to it. And there's that extra grip, that extra tool, that extra USP that you won't find in any other football boot. And I think that's what really sells this for me. It feels wonderful to wear, but it also feels like you get that little extra something on the ball. And that's what I like Predator for, right?
It's a power boot again. That's the only way I can describe it.
I hate that term, but I know where you're going for.
But like, if you're relating it back to, I don't think LZ, LZ2, or Instinct are necessarily great comparisons, even though those are all the other hybrid touch Predators. I almost think you have to go back to Adi Power to have something that kind of fits a similar formula. Obviously, this is synthetic rather than leather, which was featured on the Adi Power. But in terms of having like a focused striking element and more of a true power concept, which at the end of the day, it's just a marketing term. But once upon a time, power boots were a thing and they had a very specific feel. This has that for the first time in a while.
And again, there's something about the whole power boot thing that just rubs me the wrong way. But I know what you're saying. And I think you said something really, really true when you mentioned the Adi Power, because to me, that boot is great because it's a very no-nonsense boot, Feels wonderful, nice and elegant on the ball, low pointy toe box, just it's a great fit. And it feels good on the ball. And there are the Predator elements that are there, but they're not in the way. And they don't cause a fuss. They're not too much. They just add that little bit of extra something without, so you can feel it, but you don't overthink it, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, it's there without being there. And that's what I like. It's there without being too much. How do I say? No,
it's got really nice flow to it. And I think I've been trying to think what does it genuinely compare to the closest? And I'm not sure that there's any Predator model that it truly kind of is like a one-to-one type of experience. But I've been thinking, and I think maybe T90 Laser 4 would be the closest.
But softer, right? Softer.
I thought the Kangolite version of T90 Laser 4 would be a really comparable style of football boot, but more grip on offer from this element than what Nike used.
Yeah, that's true.
So look, if you're a fan of that older style Predator, if you're a fan of the Nike T90 Laser line, if you're a fan of, again, I hate using this term too, power boots with the rubber elements giving you that there's something about hitting a ball in a football boot like this that just feels so solid with the benefit of extra grip, if that's something that you like. I think Adidas nailed the accuracy. It's such a good boot.
I agree. What they also nailed for me was the .2s. I know you just got them.
Just today, actually.
Which is a new thing for us. You're not just getting them in a couple of hours, but you actually got them before. And I just asked you to go and find them and put them on and stuff. I've worn these for a bit. And so far, I really, really like them. Obviously, they are 140 euros compared to the 250 of the .1s. Mm-hmm. And for the money you save, the knit quality is not as good. The hybrid touch, it's still hybrid touch. It's not as premium. It doesn't feel as plush, but it's still super, super soft. And you don't get as many or as, large striking elements as on the .1s. But for the 140 euros you pay, I reckon it's hard to find better value for money out there at the moment, apart maybe from the Mercurial and Legend 9 Pros. Because there's just... This does everything that I think the GX Pros don't do, because they they give you that takedown, the takedown value, but still feel like the more expensive boots. You get the same DNA, you get the same USPs that you get on the high end boots, albeit in a slightly smaller, cheaper scale, right?
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Also, the fit in these is a little bit tighter. It's a little bit less super wide. I like that. And I don't mind that the tooling is from the 0.3. It's okay. But
yeah,
that upper is phenomenal for the money you pay.
Yeah. It's nice that for a takedown model, it hangs on to a lot of the key characteristics that make the 0.1 and the Plus special.
Yeah.
Again, I'm starting to think that specific foot shape and heel shape is very, very much a factor in terms of what your experience is going to be with a lot of Adidas takedown models. But just having the accuracy 0.2 on my feet before we started this podcast, and having recently tested out the Copa Pure 0.2 as well, there's just something about that shallow fit in the heel on these takedown models that just doesn't work for me. It feels wrong. Like my heel's not slipping, but it feels like it's going to pop out. It's putting pressure in spots where I wouldn't normally feel pressure in a more expensive pair of football boots, or a takedown model from another brand for that matter. I don't know. There's something about the fit that's still a little bit off to me, but in terms of value proposition and giving you pretty well all of the meaningful features of the top end model, it's cool that you can get that at a price point that is $100 less.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't personally have any, I didn't notice any, shallowness, whatever you say, any slipping in this compared to the 0.1 lows, for instance. But my heel is also weird. So it's hard to say, and that might be a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, they are brilliant, and right up there. It's hard for me to really rank, but right up there with the Legend 9 and Mercurial Pros, which are also great for the money, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so we've been super positive, and I know, you've got a bit of a smile on your face and all that stuff. I'm going to ruin all of that right now. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
I really wanted to keep this off your radar, as I said, until this moment, to just get your pure reaction. But I saw that someone posted on your Instagram to talk about the X Speedportal.
Yeah.
And the fact that Carbitex has been removed. So, well, cat's out of the bag.
So
what do you think here?
Very fitting of past Boot Nerds podcast episodes. My pair is actually on the way and should be here in a couple of hours. So I've yet to experience these boots in person, but I'm hoping to have them probably right after we're done recording.
Okay.
Nonetheless,
Obviously,
I was trying to think of a previous situation where a football boot was changed mid-life cycle in such a way where they took away basically the main, or at least one of the main selling points of the football boot. And I can't think of a single one.
No.
I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons as to why they've done this. Some good, some bad. I don't know. I don't know the business side of things, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous for them to take away what was not only a licensed element on their football boot in that Carbitex insert, but again, not to talk about the business side, but probably by far the most expensive element of that football boot. Swap it out for a piece of plastic, realistically not tell anybody, and still keep the price as high as it has been. That's crazy to me.
That's the interesting part, right? And again, I don't know the specifics of why it's been done either, and maybe we will never know, get the official word. But what I heard was that the player feedback was that the previous X Speedportals with the Carbitex was too stiff, and that they would prefer that it was a bit more flexible. So a natural solution was to use a softer injected piece of plastic, basically, and get that in there to make it more comfortable, right? And still maintain, like, it's still really stiff, really snappy. You got to give them that, but it doesn't have quite the same amount of snap and that really, really super aggressive feel that the Carbitex have. So I when I tried them out, I expected to go in and come out raging. I wasn't, because it's still really aggressive. And if I hadn't been told before, I'm not 100% sure that I would have really noticed. That's going to be interesting to hear your take on. So I'm not as mad about it as I thought I would be. I'm probably more mad on from a principle point of view, because I think the whole removing this super large USP from the boot and not telling anyone that's what I don't get. Instead of but on the other hand, when Nike did that mid-cycle on the Hypervenom Phantom 2s, they also really didn't say anything officially, which was odd because they significantly improved the feel of the boot, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I get it. It's just, I'm a bit so about it. I'm less mad about it after trying them, because I still feel that it's, I mean, you can tell, you can almost hear that it is, like, it has that snap. But it's just like, for me, the problem was that before, with the Carbitex, that was the thing that set the X apart from every other speed boot out there. It was a nice thing to have on paper, but you could also really tell that it was just more responsive, more snappy, albeit a little bit less snappy than the Speed Flow, but that's a whole other thing. But now, it's just, for me, it's just losing out on that USP. And compared to all the other speed boots out there, which also have snappy toolings and also have nice, even nicer uppers than the Speedportals, and don't have that, whatever this padding is in the heel, that's just, I don't, I'm not too fond of that. So, what really sets this apart now from the rest, which are 250 euros and 220 and 210 with the Furons, and okay, the Alphas are a crap ton of money, but if you go for the Elites, I mean, they're also like 200 and something euros. Like, what? Yeah, cool. Maybe comfort, nice, cool. But it's just from a storytelling point of view, I think maybe it wasn't I don't know.
Look, the last episode of the Boot Nerds podcast, we talked about Copa Pure. And there's two controversial points on that boot, and that is the move away from kangaroo leather into cow leather, which a lot of people viewed as a cost-cutting measure.
That is such a
which is whatever. We talked about it in that episode. I think the quality of the leather actually got better over Sense rather than worse. Yeah. So I'm not super mad about that. No. But they also recycled sole plate tooling from the Nemesis that came out in 2017, put it on their latest product, and raised the price, where they realistically saved way more money than you ordinarily would with a brand new model. So that I don't love that from a consumer transparency perspective in terms of what the final price ended up being. With Speedportal, this is a boot that launched
last year.
With the flagship element for the most part being that brand new sole plate and that brand new Carbitex insert, which was an improvement over what was originally introduced in X Ghosted and what was effectively one of their best speed boots and most successful speed boots in a long time in Speed Flow, which, tell me your opinion. I thought the Carbitex insert and tooling on X Ghosted and Speed Flow is actually stiffer than what's featured on Speedportal. So the suggestion as kind of a PR cover-up that there was too many complaints about the sole plate being too stiff, so they wanted to get rid of the carbon fiber and swap that out for plastic. It's ridiculous to me. And again, you use the Nike example, the Hypervenom Phantom 2, where they changed it and didn't really talk about much, which I always thought was a very strange move from them, but they changed it for the better of the product. I don't think there were too many people complaining, oh my gosh, we really want that stiff, hard, plasticky upper back. Like no one was going to complain. They effectively gave us what consumers wanted, where I think here they're doing the opposite. They're taking things away. I really, really strongly feel like the price should have come down, maybe not considerably, but maybe let's say $20 less than it was before. I think it's crazy that they've taken away what was a flagship element of the boot. And again, I think now from our perspective as reviewers, comparisons, doing all this stuff, like how does the Speed Portal make sense as a recommendation as a high-tech football boot when you compare it to something like the Nike Tiempo? Like that's crazy. The carbon fiber insert was that flagship cutting edge technology in a category of football boots that's all about cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
Like that's
a fair point.
Right? Like it's just crazy to me that they would go and do something like that. It doesn't make any sense.
That's actually a brilliant point, because it's just a knitted upper, and now it's still snappy, the tooling, but I mean, what separates this from the Puma Ultras, which has
nothing. Yeah. Why spend $50 to $80 more on a Speed Portal when you can get a Puma Ultra that's effectively all the same stuff?
And for me, that's the I actually don't, again, I don't performance-wise have a problem with the new tooling. I genuinely don't think it's that bad. But from what you say make a lot of sense. And think if they had lowered the price, even just like 10 euros, just to say, like, look, we changed it. Actually, that's, well, nice for you. Cool. We improved, and if they truly believe that they've improved the quality of the boot, then come out and say it. We improved the quality of the boot. Actually, we also, yes, everything is there's inflation and everything is going up these days. So maybe they thought of, if we don't raise the price but just keep it at the same level, technically maybe it's gotten, I don't know, man. I don't know how that pricing works.
Yeah,
but I just feel like if they had done that, said 10 euros cheaper, cool, let's tell the story, everyone would have been, that's awesome. It hasn't lost that much English. It hasn't lost that much responsiveness. You could say that it's a little bit more flexible. That's easy to break in from a comfort point of view. Cool. 10 euros cheaper. Love it. What a brilliant move, guys. You actually found a way to do Carbitex E. Give it the same abilities as that, and you lowered the price. Use brilliant, right? Maybe that's a little bit of a harder sell right now.
I think it's so. The word scummy is coming into my head, and I'm not sure that that's the word that I want to use.
No.
But it's incredibly deceptive on their part to not make this a main aspect of the press release. This is the type of swap out of parts that needs to be very, very clearly explained to the consumer. Because I think, obviously, us as boot nerds, if you're watching this podcast, you're going to immediately notice something like this, but the average consumer won't. And I really feel like in that situation, they are cheating the consumer. And I think I always use the iPhone example, where it's like, okay, here's the new iPhone, and it's got a faster processor than the last one. The vast majority of people are not going to notice a difference because the faster processor is so marginal, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it would be as if they showed off this processor and then started selling them with last year's, and nobody's going to know the difference anyways.
Sure.
But charge that same new high price. But that's crazy.
If they had, I don't know the exact reasons, but if this Pro Story stiffness comfort thing is the main reason for it, then if you come out and say, look, we had this feedback from the pros, they actually liked this more, so we went in and thought, okay, how can we make it more comfortable and still maintain that trademark stiffness, that trademark snap and responsiveness that we had in the carbon fiber, and this is the best, how do you say that? The best relationship between those two things that we could cook up, and we've been working on this for a year to replace it because it didn't really work the way we wanted to. Then I would totally, I would buy it as a consumer and say, cool. I mean, thanks for telling me. It's you actually did it, but it's the whole changing something without the communication to follow that I think creates this uncertainty around why have they done this. And why have they not told us, right? Do they want to try and have it go under the radar? That's what I think is a problem. Because again, actually playing in the boot, I don't think from a performance point of view that it's as big of a thing. And would I have really, really, really noticed if I didn't know? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, you can tell, yeah, but I'm not sure, I'm not sure maybe I would think about them, something feels a little weirder, but yeah.
I don't know. Not presenting it as a Mark II is crazy to me. And then again, if we just talked about the Predator Accuracy 0.2 takedown model. One of the major things that has separated the Speedportal 0.1 and Plus to the Speedportal 0.2 is the Carbitex insert that gets swapped out for a plastic one in the much cheaper 0.2, and now that's on the top end model.
Well, also, I think the 0.2 Speedportal is, for me at least, it's just...
Yeah, it's not as good of a football boot, but that was part of one of the justifications as to why you would want to spend more money over a takedown model. Again, it's very deceptive.
I think it's just funny honestly, how... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, if Predator and Copa Pure weren't as good as they are right now, I think I'd be a little bit more upset. And to be honest with you, I think Speedportal is not really in the running for like one of the better speed boots right now, at least for me. Like there's 3 or 4 that I would pick over them. So I'm not so upset in that they had the best boot on the market and then kind of pulled the rug out from everybody and like, oh, let's make this cheaper and hopefully nobody notices. Because I don't think Speedportal from a sales perspective has been doing that well.
I don't know about that actually, but yeah, it's I agree with you. It's like okay, it's meh even with the Carbitex, and it's still meh without the Carbitex. So I'm like, okay, and since it's not as big, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts when you've actually worn it, but. Yeah, it's more the on paper thing that I'm a little bit upset about rather than the actual performance. That's important for me to say because, if it had felt significantly worse on the pitch, I would also be up in arms, But I mean, I don't really... No, I'm not really that upset, to be honest. But it's also funny that back when the Speedflow was around, you had the Speedflow and Copa Sense and beginning last year even. Like Speedflow, Copa Sense, Predator Edge. The Speedflow was by, had such a huge margin of being the best boot in the Adi range, and now it's arguably the least good of the 3 options. By quite a significant margin, and that's an interesting one, right?
No, they've done a 180 in terms of what they've put out. I hope they stay on this trend because.
But that's also what brings me confidence is that we've seen that after the reshuffle at Adi, because clearly there's been one, right? After Edge and Sense and the Speedportal. That was not a good development for either of the silos. So we've seen they've turned it around on the Pure. We've seen they've turned it around on the Pred. So something indicates to me that we'll also see some sort of improvement on the X. Will it be Speedflow level? We don't know, but that's my hope at least, that the current team, they know what they're doing. Are they keeping it simple to begin with? Arguably, yes. I mean, Copa Pure, it's pretty. It's not high innovation. Predator Accuracy, we've seen the elements together before. We've seen before they just come together in a really nice package. And you have the tools to make the X nice. Just got to use them right?
Look, Jay, I agree with you. I think they're on a positive trend. I think clearly they have people in there that are doing a much better job than what we've seen in recent years from Adidas. However, I also have reason to believe that it's very likely that the people involved in Copa and Predator probably didn't have much of a say in this change in the Speedportal. Who knows what the reasoning is, but I can't. This is a bait and switch if I've ever seen one. And I really don't like. It's unfortunate that most people aren't going to know that they're buying a product that is significantly less expensive for Adidas to produce, but paying that same premium as you would have with an early Speedportal color. And that's where I have kind of a major issue with what they've done here. This should have been more disclosed.
Yeah.
Way more explained. And you're right. Regardless of whether or not the explanation is BS on pro preference or whatever it is, which I wouldn't buy that story simply based on the success of Speedflow, which had a stiffer Carbitex insert.
Yeah.
I still think people needed to be made aware that this is a thing, because right now I think you can go and buy this football boot and say, oh, I really like this new pink color, and have no idea that you're not getting what was one of the flagship features at launch for Speedportal.
But then again, being the devil's advocate, I mean, if you don't feel a difference as a consumer, you're just as happy if you maybe had the Al-Rihla or Ariachla.
Are you though? But are you just as happy?
But that's the thing. If you are, but if let's say that you are, and you have no idea that there's a change, and you feel that you get exactly the same out of your money as you would for buying the launch colorway, is there really a problem? I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here. Do you know what I mean?
I think to me that becomes now a question of ethics. Let's say
look, we agree.
You've commissioned an artist to paint you a picture. And instead, that artist just goes to Walmart and buys a picture off the rack and sells it to you at a marked up price and claims that he did the work. Like it's not a perfect example, but I just feel like you should get what you pay for.
I agree.
And I feel you're now not. It's not that they're not disclosing it. The pictures are on the website. They're clear to see that there is a change. But the average consumer, do they know that?
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I think they're taking advantage of the ignorance of the average consumer a little bit.
But I think that's, they could have avoided all of this uncertainty, and we don't know either, by just disclosing, explaining better what the change has been and why they've done it. And cool. I mean, honestly, cool. Cool with me.
Yeah, and I went to the Adidas website just to see. I'm like, I wonder if Carbitex is still listed there. It's not, but there's also really no explanation as to that there's a change.
Yeah.
So it's not even being disclosed in a description, which is I think the bare minimum of what they could do. You know,
and I don't think as a regular consumer, if you've owned a Speedportal before and you go to the Adidas website, I don't read the description if I'm just buying a new colorway of something I already own. Just expect it to be the same. And again, I think we can go on about this, but I think it comes back to explain it better, then no one can be really angry about it, I think. Then it's a matter of preference. Because I do still think that if that tooling had been on the SpeedFlow Opera, I would still enjoy it. It's still enjoyable. And you can flame me in the comments, but I still think it's enjoyable. And
look,
so it's not as big of a problem for me. I still think the SpeedFlow is, my opinion on it, good and bad, has not really changed after this, except for the fact that it's not been explained well enough. So
disclosure or not, it's not a good look from Adidas. To me, it's so hypocritical from any sportswear brand to push for 3 years now this one proprietary technology that's so good that they had to get a third-party company to license it and produce it for them, and then all of a sudden take it away and basically just be of the opinion that, it's just as good as it was before, if not better.
Things change. I mean,
that's silly.
But brands, Nike did the same, right? They also had carbon fiber in their toolings for a while, and we all loved it. But yeah.
Sure. There's contradiction. There's contradiction in all of sports equipment marketing.
It is, and teams change. There's need for innovation. We've talked about this many times before, but let's close the whole X Speedportal Carbitex, no Carbitex discussion right here, and just end off on a positive note with a little bit of a quick look on what just recently released from Nike. There's a Mercurial Dream Speed 6 out. And it looks like this. And no, this is not the Kylian Mbappe Flames boot. It is the latest Dream Speed. And I don't know if you'll notice, but it looks a little bit with the swoosh placement like the Superfly 2s. You see that?
A little bit. I definitely can see that comparison.
Especially with that.
Yeah, I really like the swoosh.
Yeah. They're inspired by flowers from all the countries that CR7 has played in. Obviously excluding Saudi Arabia, but yeah, I thought when I saw them for the first time, I was like, nah, not really my cup of tea. But when you get them on feet, I actually think they look kind of cool. And they're a little less purple than the Mbappe boots, which were a little too purple for my taste. With purple and orange, not really my thing. But I think this is a nice balance, and they look really nice in action. I was out shooting with them the other day, so yeah.
Yeah, I think the appeal of this colorway for most people is going to be the lack of giant air branding that many people seem to hate, or at least people in the comment section. I don't know if that's reality.
Sure.
You know what? It's one of those colorways that I feel like Nike has set the bar pretty high for themselves when it comes to signatures, and that they typically do a very good job of doing something unique and having a really good story behind all the specific details. This to me feels very, I don't know. It looks cool, but it really doesn't do much for me beyond that. And the pattern itself just kind of looks a little blotchy to me. I don't know. It's nothing. It's not their best effort, I would say.
No, I agree. I don't dislike it either, though. I think for me, this is way better than the Azulejo Ronaldo boot for the World Cup. For me personally, and I like the backstory.
Which is funny because people really seem to like that one.
Yeah, I don't get along with that, and especially the white tooling with the blue on the front. You think it looks so cheap. It's not my jam. It's not my jam. I think I like these a lot better, and as you say, no air branding on. I think it looks cool. Swoosh placement just does a lot of good things for these, and in action, I mean, it looks a lot better than in hand. And I think the story is kind of cool. It's a little bit far-fetched, maybe, but it's also a nice way of telling a story of, it's a different way of telling a story of Ronaldo's his best years, right?
Sure. Yeah,
cool.
They're okay.
Yeah,
they're okay, but really nothing more than that.
I think I don't hate them.
I'm a 6.5 out of 10 on those.
I'll go 7 just because I said to my videographer Arnau when we were out shooting that before, I was like, I'm not really feeling it. And I got him on feet. And I actually told him at the end of the shoot that, you know what? I like them. I like them now. They look cool. So it is what it is. But guys, tell us what you think about the accuracy, the X Speedportal, and also the new MDS in the comment section right down below. You know where to go. There's no saying when we'll be back. Exactly, because I can't speak English, so it's going to be a while until I find my language again. But who knows? We'll pop up back again at some point. Josh, any closing remarks?
Not really. Other than I'm very happy to see Adidas being back on the map again.
Yeah,
Pure and Accuracy are very good. Do not overlook them, because I know there's so much hype around
GX,
Nike.
Yeah,
and GX, and as great as I think GX is, there's reasons to pick between the GX and the Predator this year, despite being very different football boots. So personal preference is a big thing. So which one would you pick, Jay?
I was going to put you on the spot with a different question, but
I already have an answer.
Ooh. Yeah, this is a tough one because the width in the Pred is a bit too much for me.
Is it? I feel like I already knew your answer.
I don't like the tooling on the GX that much, but I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I'd probably... Ooh. I wore the GX the other day and enjoyed them, but I've also worn the Preds previous training session, enjoyed them. So I think it depends on the day, really.
Really? Okay, I thought you were going to be 100% GX.
Yeah,
that's your style of football boot.
Yeah, it might also arguably be, but I just the Pred just feels very, very good. And it does something, it gives me that mental edge that I really enjoy. So does the GX, but the tooling, but the width. Yeah. So another question: Pred versus Copa.
Oh, I'm Pred 100%. I'm Pred over Copa and I'm Pred over GX. If you give me anything that feels like a classic Predator or a T90 Laser,
yeah, I was going to say it's T90 Laser, so that's your boot every day of the week.
It's awesome. Honestly, it's the first Predator in a long time that I've been like really excited to play in.
Yeah. I think we're going to have, if we count the GX as also a 2023 release, we're going to have a really, really, really strong top 5 best boots of 2023 when this year closes. Because my Lord, I mean, there will be some good stuff coming up as well. So, yes.
Yeah, Three for three between Nike and Adidas this year, for sure.
Definitely. What would I go? Predator Pure. That's a tough one, man. So many good boots out at the moment. It's I might choose the Pure.
Which doesn't surprise me.
No.
I feel like Pure is such a... Pure and GX definitely trend towards the speed category in terms of fit and feel.
The Pure's got Morelli Neo vibes, which is still my go-to boot. So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. But anyways, guys, that was episode 153 of the Boot Nerds podcast. Again, let us know comments, thoughts in the comment section right down below. We'll see you when we'll see you. Subscribe here, there, boom, boom, shake the room. I've been JayMike and I approve this message. Later, lads. I'll go read the English dictionary and stuff. So, yeah.
You're doing great.
No, I'm actually not. but thanks for... Later, guys.
See ya.